Hi everybody, welcome back. So today I'm going to show you some things that I've been doing to help get ready for retirement. The first thing I'm going to show you is a form that I've been using. It's a budgeting form and I got it from the Budget Mom, and I'll link her information in my description, so if you're interested. There's a lot of people that have a lot of different bill trackers and a lot of different papers that can help you with your budgeting. This is just the one that I've been using. I also follow Budget Girl. I'll also link her information. She has a new form that she's just come out with that's both paper and online. I prefer paper. I'm just a paper girl. I still use a paper calendar, so that's what I do. Now, of course, Dave Ramsey has his website that he has called Every Dollar. I did do that for quite a while, tried to. Again, I just prefer paper. It's just easier for me to write things down. I must confess there's usually some whiteout involved, but I just like to do it doing paper and pencil. So what I'm going to show you, and keep in mind now, these figures are not necessarily my actual numbers. I'm not quite ready to share all my personal information with y'all, but I am going to show you some figures just to give you a general idea of what I've been working with. They are going to go over income, expenses, etc. Now, I did, when I was first getting out of debt, I did use the Dave Ramsey snowball method, and I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with that. And at the time, I had a great deal of expenses, rather a great deal of debt. And that was because for quite a while, I was working a job where I was only bringing home $130 a week. And yes, you heard me correctly. I was bringing home $130 a week. As you can imagine, my expenses were a lot more than that. But at that time in my life, I had family situation that I felt like I needed to be home to be able to take my husband places he needed to go, and just was only able to work part-time. Got all the credit card numbers in front of me and started chipping away, started paying the minimum on all but the biggest one. And then I would pay a little bit more than the minimum on that, and until I got it paid off completely. And then again, if you're familiar with Dave Ramsey, I then would take the amount I was paying on that one, add it to the minimum payment on the second largest one, and then pay that down until I got that one paid off, and etc. Just keep snowballing the numbers into the next one and the next one and the next one until I finally had them all paid off. Okay, I want to show you the budgeting form that I use. I will link below the location there that I get it from, and share with you the website that the form came from. You can go check her out. And so you obviously see that it's divided into categories. I will let you know that this is arbitrary numbers, not necessarily my exact budget, but I want you to be able to see the numbers and to know exactly what needs to go where. Obviously, it's pretty self-explanatory, but I thought it would be easier to have actual numbers there that you could look at. So the first thing you want to do is you want to put your income at the top of the page. Depending on how you get paid, you may get paid once a month. You may get paid twice a month, as I do. I also include my expense check because I do get mileage for my work. I also have a line item there for any of my mall sales, the antique booths that I have, as well as my online sales. So you want to include all of that. Then you're going to go down below, and this is where you're going to put all of your monthly expenses, all your reoccurring monthly expenses. So in some cases, you're going to have mortgage, you're going to have car payments, you're going to have utilities, you're going to have different things than you may see here. Now, I do, for my own budgeting reasons, have my husband's income separate from my income. I do pay different things out of the two different pots of money, and it just makes sense to me. So that's why I have it. So you're not going to see mortgage or utilities there. What I do have is just the incidentals that I take care of, as well as my mall rents are there because obviously you need to have income as well as expenses. So those are expenses. Usually my income for the sales are going to be greater than the expense of the rent, but I also have the prepaid cremation services that I'm taking care of right now. That is something that was important to me after the passing of my mom in December. I wanted to make sure that my kids weren't going to be left with that burden when the time comes. So I'm taking care of that. Next, you'll see I have a number of charge cards listed there. Now, that's something Dave and I disagree on. Dave Ramsey says you shouldn't have credit cards. And right now, I do have credit cards. All of my credit cards are paid off. I do have them. I've kept them open just in case. I do have what my savings that I'm putting together an emergency fund, but I do have the credit cards in the event that I do need to charge something, and I don't want to use my emergency fund like last year. I didn't want to use it during that time, not knowing what might happen. So I do use my credit cards, but they are paid off in full every month. So that if your budget and your discipline allows you to do that. But my Amex card specifically, I use that to pay all of my utilities. I do have them as budget items under my husband's budgeting side. And what I do is I pay everything with the American Express. And then at the end of the month, I transfer the money from that account into the American Express to pay it off. So that takes care of all of my utilities, earns me points. And again, that's a thing that Dave doesn't agree with, but it's something I do. And there you'll see that I have the food and gas separate. I do keep them listed out as a different line item. It says envelopes there because some people pay those in cash. That's not something that I do, but I like to have it line item so that I can keep track of how much we're spending, and know if I need to take some steps to cut down the expenses. I have broken out where I have my resale spending money there. For a while, I had it included in the household, but I decided that I needed to go ahead and have that as a separate line item so I could keep track. So that's something that I can then take the money from my sales and pay. Okay, now we're going to go over my favorite part. This is where we're going to go over your savings side of things, which once you start budgeting, you should get extra money into your budget. It's going to take a little while, but you'll get some extra money and you can start putting money aside for savings, for investing, whatever you're interested in doing. So you can see I've got Capital One 360. It's a account, it's online only, but you can have up to, I believe, 21 different accounts, and you can save for upcoming events that you can put a little bit aside every month. So I have some money going into that account, and then I divvy them up into different Christmas, vacation, car repair, different things. Then you can see I have under the extra debit part, that's where I put my church tithe, my building fund that I'm helping support my church, things like that. Then, if you have extra money left over, you can even do the extra savings, and you put that there under the bottom column. Okay, so that's just a look at the form that I use. As I said, I do the every dollar as far as the zero-based budget. So I would add up, obviously, I would add up all of my income here, and then we would add up all of the expenses. So you go down, add up, and as you can see on this one, it has a column for budgeted and actual. That works out good, so you can see if you go over in categories, you know where you're going over. Then down here again, I would add up whatever my actual, what I was budgeted, and then what my actual was as far as food and whatnot. Then you come up to your next column, add up your savings, add up your incidentals of debit here, which is my church expenses, your other savings, and then you're going to come down and you can see that it says to take your income and then subtract out all the different categories, and you should come to zero at the end. If you don't, hopefully you have money left over, and that's when I would put it into this extra savings figure. So that's where that would go, and then the number would be zero at the end. So that's what I do. I hope that this has been helpful for you. If you have any questions, as I said, I have information that will be in the description that shows you my different savings platforms. I also, to help get ready, I have, because I've been able to save money, I've been using, which isn't on this form, I've been putting money into a investment account. Actually, I have two different investment accounts. I'm saving money and investing money under Robinhood, and I'm also doing something under M1 Finance. So that is also going towards my retirement because, I'm putting a little bit away out of the savings that I have and investing each month, and that's growing bit by bit. I, of course, have a savings through my employer, which I will roll over when the time comes. I did actually just do something with my health savings account, if you're familiar with those. I had enough money accumulated because I haven't had that many expenses that I've needed to pay for. So they had an opportunity, I could take some money out of what was in my account, because that is money that you can take with you when you leave the employer. So it's not like a 401k or anything. It's actual money I can use for my medical expenses later. But they just offered where you could take a certain dollar amount and you could invest it. So I had enough money in the account that I could take that out and invest it and still leave a decent amount in the account in case of any medical situations that may come up. So I also have that investment. So it's a lot of learning, a lot of growing after a lot of trial and error and a lot of being broke for a long time. It's been a really nice change to be able to save. So in the future, I'll talk to you about my quote unquote retirement budget and what that's going to look like, because obviously I'm not going to have the income that I have now, because my plan is to not file for my Social Security necessarily right away. It just depends on when I decide to retire. But in the meantime, I hope you've enjoyed this. It's a little bit longer video, so I hope you've stayed till the end. I've had some people say that they don't mind longer videos as long as they are informational. So I hope you found this to be informational. And again, the information that you may be interested in will be in the description. So, and as always, feel free to comment. If you have questions, I'll be glad to talk with you about any questions you have and just give you some information as far as what I've done. Keep in mind, I'm not a tax professional. I'm not an investment expert by any means. This is just Yaya's way of doing what she's doing to get to the point that she's at. So I hope everybody has a great day, and I'll see you soon. Yaya out.